I've got a big one. Don't believe me? Check this out. Sorry about that cheesy intro, guys. What's cracking, audio fans? It's David here from Prime Audio Reviews, and I've got something big here today. This is the DA&T K422 bi-amplifier, and this has got some neat tricks up its sleeve. I suck at my job, but let me do my best and tell you all about it. Okay, so this is a bi-amplifier. It's essentially two mono blocks strapped together. So you've got two toroidal transformers within this chassis here. And by the way, this chassis is a whopping 17.5 kilograms. So this is one hefty piece of work. And boy, oh boy, it is solid as a rock. It is like a tank, I kid you not. Now let me tell you quickly about some of the main features of this amplifier. First of all, it's got an integrated DAC built into it, a 32-bit DAC. And on top of the bi-amping, which I mentioned earlier, this actually, you can select between a Class A or a Class D output. What makes that really interesting is you can select either Class A or Class D, or you can have both simultaneously. And I'll show you how that works later on in the video. But first of all, let's just have a quick look at this chassis here. As you can see, it's got this beautiful fluted design with a kind of a matte finish there. The big red potentiometer here, it's got a really nice action to it. It's nicely weighted. It feels fantastic to use. Love using that. And it also acts as a button. If you hold the button down, it puts the unit into standby mode. So it's not only about form, it is also functional, and these fluted area, these grooves here, act as a heat sink to help dissipate the heat from the unit because there's no open venting anywhere. So the unit, being a Class A, of course, does get a little bit warm, but it doesn't get particularly hot, especially if you're using Class D output only. But the outer chassis, this thing is thick. It is really, really solid. It definitely feels like some premium equipment. Let's have a look around on the back now. Wow, and this is where it gets quite interesting. So on the bottom here, these are the Class D outputs, and the ones on the top are Class A. The Class A outputs additionally have this gain knob here, so you can adjust, fine-tune the gain on the Class A output. Now with this switch here, in the up position it's Class A only, down position Class D only, but if you put it in the middle, it will output to these simultaneously. So this is great for multiple reasons. If you've got multiple speaker setup, or if you've got bi-wired speakers, so many different possibilities. Now the second switch here, in the top position, it works as a crossover. In the middle, it's full range, and in the bottom, it is a two-way setup. Now, I'm not going to get into explaining all that here. If you want to know more about that particular feature, check out the full written review. There's a link in the description, because I can explain it better there than I will here. I don't want to take up too much time because there's a lot to cover here. All right, let's get on to the inputs because there are quite a few of them. First of all, here you've got a Bluetooth antenna. So obviously you have the option to stream to this device via Bluetooth. And I gotta say, the quality of the Bluetooth signal is really, really good. It is surprisingly good. It's not aptX, it's not LDAC or anything like that. I don't know how it works exactly, but I tell you what, the quality of the Bluetooth signal is so good. It is fantastic. And while some of the audiophile purists out there might not appreciate that, it just gives it that extra bit of versatility, which is one of the mainstays of this amplifier. Next to the Bluetooth, we've got a trigger in and a trigger out, so you can actually hook this up to synchronize with external devices. Here we've got two coaxial inputs, so you've got coax 1, coax 2, followed by two optical inputs and an analog input and an RCA direct analog inputs, followed by more analog inputs. So you can see there's a lot of options for getting a signal in to the device here. There are 3 buttons in total on the device. First is the potentiometer, which also is a button, and then you've got 2 buttons on the top here, and basically what these do is just cycle through the various inputs. And I want to mention the remote as well, because this remote is an absolute beast. It is like a solid brick of aluminium. I wish I had a watermelon to crush or something like that, because I don't think I can convey across video how solid and hefty this thing is. This is like basically built out of the same thickness aluminium as the chassis here. It is just a tank of a remote. Very simple, volume up and down, and the center button with a long press can put the unit into standby mode or wake it up, and with a short press it cycles through the inputs. And just in case anybody's watching who doesn't quite understand why you would want Class A and Class D from a single amplifier, it just means that the K422 here can work matching, can synergize really well with multiple different speaker types. For example, Class A is known to be a little bit more analog sounding. It's a little bit warmer, it's a little bit richer, and it's a fuller sound. So that is particularly good if you've got sort of analytical speakers or more neutral speakers that are uncolored and you want to give them a bit more musicality. The downside with Class A is it is not quite as fast. So if you've got speakers with a big sort of a heavy or a slow bass, you can use the Class D output, and that will tighten up the low end for you. That'll give you faster transients across the board. It'll just give you a cleaner signal. And on top of that, if you're worried about heat or wasting energy, Class D is much more efficient. It won't heat up the unit anywhere near as much as the Class A, so you can switch it into Class D only mode. By the way, I haven't mentioned the price of this thing yet. The DA&T K422 here is around $2,600 US. Now that might seem like a lot of money, but in fact it is, for what this thing can do and does and how it does it, I think it's incredibly reasonable. Like for example, there are a lot of just medium level DACs that cost more than that, or a single standalone monoblock amplifier can cost double, triple, quadruple the price of this thing. So in the overall scheme of things, considering the amount of functionality that this has and the power that it has, I think the price is very, very reasonable. But let's get back to how it sounds, and I've got to tell you, man, this thing is just so sweet. I absolutely love listening to this. It is a very musical amplifier. It's got character. It is not completely flat or neutral, but at the same time, the resolution, the detail retrieval is fantastic. The sound stage that this amp creates is amazing. When paired with some good speakers, the sound stage is quite vast. It was really surprising the first time I heard it. And what's really interesting about the sound is that when you switch between Class A and Class D, the character of the sound stays the same. So it's very consistent. Yes, in Class D, you will get a tighter bass, you will get faster transients. And in Class A, you will get a slightly smoother sound. But the sound character, the overall tonality is the same between both. And that makes this really, really great. Now, I don't have any really demanding speakers. My setup is quite modest. I've got some NHT C3 carbons. I've got some NHT MS towers. And it was great to be able to actually plug all 4 of those speakers in at the same time and mess around with the crossover and the full range and the gain switches, the gain dials on the Class A output is really, you can dial in exactly the right sound that you're looking for. And my NHT speakers are quite transparent, so I found that the K422 here was a really good match for them. Just brought out a little bit more musicality. So let's talk about the bass real quick now, and the bass extension on the K422 is fantastic. Oh my goodness, even without a subwoofer hooked up, the bass extension, fantastic, really nice, full-bodied low end. With a subwoofer, with my subwoofer attached, oh boy, oh yeah. I hope I didn't disturb my neighbors too much while testing this unit. Let's talk about the mid-range now, and the mid-range is, well, the sound in general has a real sense of scale. It feels kind of epic, if you know what I mean. It is a big sound. It will fill the room. It will envelop you in the sound. It will sweep you up in the music and take you away. It is a vast, powerful, authoritative and robust mid-range. It has character, but at the same time, it is a close to neutral. It doesn't sound colored at all. So there's still loads of detail. There's still impressive resolution. And really, if you're into vocals or acoustic instruments, you will love the mid-range on this amplifier. And finally, that leaves us with the treble. And I would say the treble in both Class A and Class D is a little bit sweet. So it is slightly rounded. It is definitely not harsh or aggressive, but at the same time, it leaves no detail unturned. You will hear everything that is in the recording without a doubt. It doesn't mask any of the sound, but it's just so effortless. There's so much power on tap here. I think that makes the difference that producing just this beautiful, crisp, clear and airy treble that I think makes this amplifier a really, really good match for brighter, more detailed speakers. So that, guys, is the DA&T K422 bi-amplifier. I absolutely love this thing. I am going to be genuinely upset when I have to send it back, which is coming very soon. I tell you what, if I was on the market for an amplifier right now, this would probably be my #1 choice, because I think the value proposition of this amplifier is just unbelievably good right now. Like I said, you can buy a little standalone DAC that will be double the price of this entire unit. And this has just got so much going for it. The versatility, the build quality is immaculate. It's just from top to bottom, the usability factor of it as well. It's just a wonderful amp to use. And yeah, I definitely highly recommend this. So that about wraps it up, guys. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, Parfam audiophile style. If you're new to the channel and you want to see more content like this in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And until next time, see you later.